What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 373 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA, number 11 Philadelphia ranked, and a podcast featuring a Tom Borelli Media Person of the Year award nominee edition of the Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. KB and Deej coming at you with another episode chock full of good lacrosse nuggets, some fun, some laughs, and one of our guys getting absolutely peppered in the chest this week, which we will talk about as well. We are diving into the NLL playoffs. We're diving into the PLL Draft coming up on Tuesday. We will have information because Deej, man, people left and right asking, are you boys doing a stream? Are you boys doing a stream? Is there going to be a stream for We'll let you know about the stream when we talk PLL Draft. Don't you worry. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. Follow Deej at SCS_next great. Follow Hoots at Hoot Sports Media. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the pod. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It goes a long way for helping not only this show continue to grow, but every show on our network. Keep on subscribing. Share the show with your friends and leave those 5-star reviews. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show every single week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel. We're currently at 1,056 subscribers, which means we're 44 away from our next 100 subscriber milestone. So keep subscribing. youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia and subscribe to youtube.com/@OTB LaxPod if you want that college show to happen during the tournament with Hoots and Deej. You got to subscribe over there as well. youtube.com/@OTB LaxPod. And guys, you already know how it goes down. This show is proudly presented by Shootout For Soldiers, and their entire schedule is ready to rock and roll for the 2025 season. Go to shootoutforsoldiers.com/events to see their entire schedule lineup for where they will be throughout, this early go of the spring. First event, I believe, is May 17th in 2 locations all the way through October. They've got a whole lot going on. It is truly one of the coolest events you can attend, especially if you're a fan of the sport of lacrosse, because it's bridging community together with the game we love to help support our nation's veterans. And in a time like we're living in right now, they certainly need all the help we can get. So use our link in the description, find out how to donate, get involved, register for an event, or volunteer, and so much more. Shootoutforsoldiers.com/events. And we thank Shootout For Soldiers for being a proud presenting partner of the Outside the Box podcast. And on top of that, they just announced Stars and Stripes Classic coming back for another year in Philadelphia this year. Very excited about that. That was an awesome time last year. Shootout For Soldiers, a big part of that event. So very excited to see that come to the city of brotherly love, as we have involvement also from the Travis Manion Foundation this year, which is really cool as well. But check out shootoutforsoldiers.com/events to learn more. What's poppin', Coach Deej? How we doing, Unk?
Man, bro, a lot of exciting things are happening, but a lot of life things are happening too. I'm existing though. I'm alive. Had a little bit of a meltdown after my game yesterday. It's just frustrating to be in games where the penalties are 4, 5, 6 called on us, nothing called on the other team. And it's like at a certain point, I'm gonna stick up for my kids and make sure they're not being they deserve to be treated fairly on the field. Yeah, so that led to me baseball swinging my stick against some lockers. I did eventually snap in half. I yelled
Now batting for Kalamazoo United, DJ Hughes. Once again, batting for Kalamazoo United, DJ Hughes. First pitch, swinging a long drive deep to left field. Hughes lifts one into the bleachers. It's a home run.
more like Kalamazoo United loses to Porters Northern again, and Nick Castellanos deep to center field.
There's a drive deep to left by Nick Castellanos.
That's more of what it was like. I kind of just went ham for a second. It snapped, and then I yelled some obscenities, and I told them, I was like, you guys don't deserve this. You deserve better. It frustrates me.
Do you know what I just thought of? This is an idea, copyright, trademark, patent pending, Outside the Box Podcast 2025, all rights reserved. Do you know what we should do on Instagram and TikTok as like funny ass digital content? So you know how Diggs does his thing, obviously doing voiceover on plays and stuff. We should take plays from this PLL season, this NLL season, whatever, like just awesome highlights. We should do it with old time announcing broadcast voices. Welcome to the 2019 PLL All-Star Game, and Paul Rabel goes around the world. Around the world goes Rabel. We put everything in black and white.
And here we are, loading up for the fastest shot competition this year. Jared Newman stepping up. He takes 2 steps, and he rips.
Newman goes 121. 121, the world record.
121. Oh, my God.
Dude, if you write the script, and then I just do the old-timey white person broadcaster voice on all these funny, like, sick lacrosse plays. Bro, we got to do this.
Oh, my God.
It's a 4-button combo from Josh Byrne. A 4-button combo. We don't even have video games back here in the 1940s, but Josh Byrne goes 4-button combo. Dude, this would be so funny.
The 4-button combo from Connor Fields, top shelf where Grandma keeps the cookies.
Grandma's cookies are the only thing on the shelf where Connor Fields can find it.
Oh,
dude, that would be so funny.
I'm about to go looking for plays right now.
Mike and Paul would be pissing themselves.
I'm about to go looking for plays.
We just put the plays in like sepia tone or black and white.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is gonna be hilarious. This is gonna be so goddamn funny.
I'm so down for that. I could write scripts for that all day.
This is gonna be so funny. Genius idea. This is how our brains work, everyone. Just in real time. You just watched an entire real life OTB brain blast.
Yep.
In real time.
Yep. And y'all don't even know how often we have these.
That was perfect. You know what's not perfect, Deej? The NLL playoff schedule, but we'll get into that. We're going to recap the quarterfinals. And as you guys know, our wrap-ups for the NLL brought to you each and every week by our friends over at Buff. Guys, we talked last week about how the weather's warming up. Deej, I don't know what the weather is by you today, but today it is beautiful outside here in South Jersey. And it's a nice little, like, hint that summer is almost here. But guess what? When summer rolls around, that means there's going to be bugs outside. And we don't get down with the bugs being all over your skin. It's gross. You don't need that when you're going outside, hanging out with your friends, you know, a little bonfire action type flow. Buff, they're making sure that you are protected not only from the heat, from the wind, from the cold during the winter, but they've also got this new collection, guys. And let me tell you, it has me very excited. The Cool Net neckwear UV protection that's also going to protect you from bugs. It's got sun protection, odor control, 1% for the planet, cooling technology, and some of the coolest designs out there. Plus, these, not only do they have the gaiters for this, but they also have hats for it as well, because sometimes you forget, even though you might got hair on your head, sun comes in, you could get a little sunburn on the head. You got to protect your head as well during the summertime. They got the bucket hats, baseball hats, cooling design for it. Some amazing designs. Plus, obviously, you guys know they've got the Survivor Season 48 buffs as well, including the Merge buff. And they just dropped a really cool collection, Deej, the U.S. National Parks collection. Very cool stuff. It has the Rocky Mountains, Yosemite, Zion, Grand Teton, Grand Canyon, the glaciers, Yellowstone, the whole 9 yards. They look beautiful. It's all artwork on there. Use our link in the description, shop with Buff, and make sure you're protected this summer from those bugs, from the sun. And sometimes you get those windstorms in the summer as well. If you're going down the beach, you get the wind blowing in your face. Protect yourself. Think smarter, not harder. Use our friends at Buff. Use the link in the description. And we thank Buff for being a proud partner of OTB and Underground Sports Philadelphia. Deej, the NLL playoffs are underway. We will start with the Buffalo Bandits and San Diego Seals playing the grossest game of box lacrosse I think I've ever witnessed. 5-4 Buffalo win in a great job by the schedule makers for a standalone game that ends in 5-4. 5-4 game all by itself, nothing afterwards to kind of cleanse the palate. That's kind of just what you're left with. Beautiful stuff. Buffalo doesn't score the entire second half. San Diego did not score in the first quarter. So we had 1.5 quarters, technically, if you break it down, that went scoreless. Just a gross, disgusting, not fun game. This is not the type of game you want to show anyone to get them into the sport of lacrosse. Also, you hold the Buffalo Bandits to 5 goals and you don't win. That's tough. That's tough. You hold them scoreless for an entire half and you can't find a way to score 2 more goals to walk away with a 6-5 win. That's tough. You go 1 for 5 on the power play of San Diego. That's tough. Again, I mean, we are big San Diego Seals fans on this podcast. We love the Seals, love their organization. They have treated us extremely well over the years. DJ, at what point do they kind of look in the mirror and realize that year over year, just putting together new triple combo options on offense is not the way you win in the playoffs? Because we've seen this time and time and time again, whether it was, Westberg, Dane Doby, Curtis Dixon, Kevin Crowley in the mix. This year, obviously, with Bennett, Ben McIntosh, and Rob Hellier, along with Westberg's really been the only constant in like that offensive group. At what point do they realize like you need some consistency year over year if you're gonna have any success in the playoffs? I just feel like they've tried to solve the puzzle, and when they're solving this puzzle, they're the type of person that just like takes the complete puzzle apart and starts putting it back together again and continues to miss pieces that are right in front of their faces. I just don't understand how year over year, a team that is loaded with talent, a team that every year going into, the NLL season around October, we're looking at what they did in the offseason, what they did in the draft, and we're like, oh, this team's going to be dynamic. They're going to be elite. They're going to be the class of the league. And year over year, everyone who says that has egg on their face.
I think for me, it's more just about either their philosophy as a team or just their ability to reach that level in the playoffs. Our boy Pat Bev said it best. The playoffs are exciting. You want to give your best game. You want to prove you belong. You want to last the longest versus the regular season where it's about making it to the end healthy. It's about getting through the day, grabbing enough wins, but not all of them. In the playoffs, you need every single win. You got to ball hard. And I think there's a disconnect between the talent and the ability to tap into that postseason mindset in order to win there. Because it's not, I don't even think it's that they don't have the talent or the coaching or any of
Right.
those things, but you got to be able to match the physicality, the effort, and everything coming from the other side. And there just seems to be a drop because, like, they lose to teams that they beat in the regular season, in the playoffs the last couple of years. So it's not that they aren't better than these teams, but it's like they can't get themselves up to have the energy and the adrenaline and the things you need for a playoff game in order to win.
And like for context for
I'm
this
not.
game,
I'm just not really. I say I'm just not really sure how to fix that. Like, where
yeah,
actually is the problem with that? Is it a locker room problem? Is it the leadership? Is it the actual players? Does it extend far beyond just the coaching staff leadership? Is it into the front office? Like, what is that problem? That's very hard to tell from the outside.
and I mean for context for this game in particular, the big three that they brought in this offseason to come in with Westberg, come in with a Trey LeClaire, and give life to the offense again after Dane and Curtis left, and Kevin Crowley's been in Vancouver for a couple years now. Between Rob Hellier, Ryan Benesh, and Ben McIntosh, who Ben McIntosh we love, friend of the program, they combined for 5 assists. No goals. Ryan Benesh was held scoreless. 0 for 7 shooting. Hellier had 2 assists, 0 for 5 shooting. Ben McIntosh had 3 assists, 0 for 8 shooting. And I get you're playing against one of, if not the best goalie to ever do it in the NLL. But man, like, you got to find a way, especially when you're holding them scoreless for an entire second half. Like, that's so uncharacteristic of the Bandits. And the fact that you go 1 for 5 on the power play, you're man up 5 times against one of the most, if not the most cohesive offense and overall team in the league. You have a man up situation 5 times throughout this game and you cash in once. You can't do that. Like, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. That's exactly what happened. And I mean, Trevor dominated the faceoff stripe, won 7 of 11 faceoffs. Westberg scored 1 goal in this game, 1 for 14 shooting. Just a weird shooting night for the San Diego Seals. A disgusting game with very little action. And a tale as old as time. Death, taxes, the Buffalo Bandits are moving on to the NLL Semifinals.
Yeah, it's actually kind of frustrating.
And it's not that we're mad at the players.
No, not at all.
Because they're the boys. Like Josh, Dane, Chase, Ian, all friends of the program. Tahoka, friend of the program. But I was watching something, and I wanted to get your perspective on this, Deej, because we've talked about it a bunch with other sports. But I was watching this series that this dude Ellis from the Away Days YouTube channel. They go and take celebrities and soccer players and stuff out, and they go shop at Classic Football Shirts, the physical locations. And Rob McElhaney was on this week. Obviously, he's the owner of Wrexham. They just went back to back to back promotions, first team to ever do that. Rob was talking about we love sports so much because, especially in soccer, where like anything can happen. I feel like lacrosse is very similar to that, where the parity is so widespread, whether it's college, NLL, PLL, and there is no ceiling because any given year anybody can get it done. But you also have, the moments in the NFL, the NBA that we've witnessed in our lifetimes where if a team wins over and over and over again, it gets boring. And it gets, we've talked about it with Summer Box, another trade happened today as we record this on Friday. And it's just like, what's the point of even watching? We inevitably know the outcome because it's just what happens. And not saying we don't want to see the homies be successful, but it is one of those things that, like, dynasties and things like that are very good for a sport. But at the same time, if you're not part of that dynasty, if you're not a fan of that dynasty, it becomes taxing to be a fan of the sport.
Yeah, and I mean, for example, there were years I hated watching the NFL because it felt like the Patriots are gonna win every year, and I was like, "What is the point in watching for months and getting my hopes up to watch the same team lift the trophy all the time?" I'm the biggest LeBron fan ever, but there were definitely some years in that 10 years or 8 years or whatever that he went in a row that he should not have gone.
Mm-hmm.
This is where, these kind of things is where you get into that dangerous scenario of "Oh, is this rigged?" I don't think the NLL or lacrosse is even close to that at
No.
this moment, but that's just kind of where people's minds go. Um, do I think the Warriors were the best team in the West for 4 years in a row? Yes. But do I think LeBron's team in the East was always the best? No.
No.
But what do I think brought in the most amount of money for the NBA? LeBron facing off against arguably the best team to ever play in the NBA. That looks
And it
really
did
bad.
numbers. It did
It
numbers.
did numbers, but that looks really bad too to
Mhm.
people who are actually paying attention.
And then on top of that, I think with lacrosse too, in particular, in a league like the NLL, it almost presents to the league like this false narrative that, oh, this is the standard. This is what every team needs to be. And then you try to pigeonhole every team to live up to what the Bandits are doing, to live up to what the 3 out of 4 year Saskatchewan Rush were doing, to live up to what Halifax has been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. There's so many other variables that come into play that make those situations successful that it diminishes a lot of building the league and building it up to be a powerhouse and realizing, hey, a team like Rochester, they may draw 6,000 fans, but guess what? They're the most loyal and devoted 6,000 fans in Rochester because they could easily go a hop, skip, and a jump and be part of the 19,000
In
that are
Buffalo.
banging down the doors to get into Buffalo.
Yep.
You could have you see the buildup of what Albany did this year. Like they were coming off an NLL finals appearance and it was a wasteland to start the season. But as the season rolled along, even when they were struggling, more and more fans were coming out and then on the precipice of making the playoffs again after their season started so poorly. And that's what makes sports fun, is when you see the organic growth rather than trying to make every single team be like one gold standard. And it's one of those things that I think just needs to be paid more attention to in the grand scheme of the NLL, of lacrosse in general, is that not every team can be the gold standard. You have a gold standard. Everyone wants to try to achieve that standard, but it's not going to happen overnight. And that's what people need to realize.
Yeah, and I think people need to realize that the gold standard has been set once you're in professional sports. The gold standard is to just win the championship every year. That's it. That's it. You're just looking to win the championship every year. If you're trying to turn your organization or program into another organization or program, you're wrong. That's only going to lead to your failure. Focus on what makes your organization what it is, and you expound on that to make it better. Find out what it is that your fans like the most about your experience at your arena, and then you dive deeper into that to get more people there. Find out what kind of players you have on your team, personality wise, and then you go find the guys that fit the skill set that you need that also fit those personalities. It's like they're trying to recreate the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, to some
There's only
extent,
one wheel.
yeah, well, I guess I said that backwards. Like, you have to recreate the wheel because you're creating your own wheel for your organization.
Mm-hmm.
But every organization is going, the wheel's right here. We're just going to do this. And it's like, no, stop doing that because it's not working for you. create your own wheel, and teams are kind of just refusing to do that.
Yeah. So Buffalo moves on. The next game, Deej, the floor will be yours once I introduce it. The Halifax Thunderbirds win their first playoff game in team history as the Thunderbirds, 16-12 over your Calgary Roughnecks. A valiant effort, a very fun game. Obviously not the result you want, but if you're a neutral fan, this game had probably the most pound for pound just excitement and entertainment value of the weekend. Shots galore. Face-off battle was intense. Power plays galore. It was back and forth for a lot of this game. And then second quarter rolls around. Halifax goes on a run. They're up 8-3. Calgary battles back. It's 11-7 at the end of the third. It's real close, 12-7, 13-8. You're battling back, and then Halifax just kind of had that early lead that was enough cushion late in the game when Calgary goes on a 4 out of 5 goal run towards the end of the game. But overall, a very fun, entertaining game if you're a casual or a neutral fan. And it wasn't even, for Halifax's sake, it wasn't even that any one particular player dominated per se. Like Randy Stotts and Thomas Hogarth led the way with 7 and 8 points each. Hogarth had 3 and 5. Randy Stotts had 2 and 5. Mike Robinson, Clark Peterson had 1 and 5 each. But it was Dawson Deed had 3 and 2. It was very spread around for them with contributing for points. Curtis Dixon matched. He had 3 and 5. Dane Doby had 1 and 5. Tyler Pace had 4 and 1. A great game from him. Hayden Dixon added 2 points. It was just one of those things that early on, a 3-0 lead in the first quarter, coupled with a 5-goal lead at halftime, was just enough for Halifax to hold on to victory.
Thank you for an amazing season. I had fun. I think the bigger thing is this allowed me to really learn that I have a knack for picking teams that like to start slow in the year, find their groove, and then end up in the playoffs just to look to see if they can make something happen. And I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. There was a portion of this year where I was literally pulling my hair out watching you guys play. It was not fun. I literally felt like we couldn't do anything right, and I didn't even know where to begin to try and give the team answers. And then there was just this turn toward the late end of the part of the season where it was like you could see a couple homies on the team go, all right, if we're going to kind of do that thing we said we were going to do, we got to win some games here. And we started to pull off games in weird fashions, started to have some comeback victories, started to have some wire-to-wire victories, and just really started to play fun lacrosse. And I enjoyed it. Loved Nick Rose coming over. Rosie, I really hope you decide to stay.
He did just put out a tweet earlier. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't.
I can read it for you, let you react in real time. It sounds promising. So he posted 4 photos and said, "Thank you to my NLL Roughnecks teammates for treating me like family from the moment I got traded. First class organization from top to bottom and an incredible fan base!" Exclamation point. There's a ton of character in that dressing room and so much to build on going forward.
The build on going forward sounds nice. But the beginning of that sounded very I appreciate y'all, but I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here.
Sounds promising, I would say.
No,
I think if the dollars and cents are right.
I do like what I hear here. So I'm holding my breath that he stays. But if he decides to leave, that's fine. But thoroughly I enjoyed this season. I just wish it would have lasted at least 1 week longer. Time to get, back into the gym and get ready to do this thing again next year.
Yeah. It was It was a great game. Just like start to finish, like I said, like very entertaining, very fun matchup. And, I think that'll be a matchup that we look at moving forward. That is, you just kind of circle it on the calendar and you get excited about it. And once the off season's fully here, we'll dive into some of these teams and some of the needs and potential, signings / trades / draft picks that they have to make to improve. But I think Calgary has done a good job of bringing back franchise legends in Curtis Dixon, Dane Doby, and also at the same time having built up currency of on the rise superstars, to have a Tanner Cook ready to go, to have Brayden Maia playing this year, I think was huge. To have guys you know, in the mix like Ethan Ticehurst, like Hayden Dixon, who are very talented players. Obviously, Kinger is part of that, veteran side of things as well, but they've done a good job of like supplementing the older vets with also young in their prime talent. And I think that's something that, when the time comes, if Dane and Curtis, hang it up in the next couple of years, the Roughnecks are still going to be very, very talented top to bottom, which is exciting. Saskatchewan get the job done. They take down Lyle Thompson, Andrew Q, Shane Jackson, and the Georgia Swarm 13-9 out in Saskatoon. Just like we predicted, a dominant showing from Jake Naso at the stripe. 18 of 26 Saskatchewan went at the stripe in this game. Very weird sequence of events through these first three games, though, Deej, that I've noticed is that teams are struggling on the power play to start this postseason. Not very effective power plays across the board when there have been multiple opportunities for them. A great game from Jake Boudreau for Saskatchewan. He had 5 points in this game, 4 goals. Saskatchewan did their thing holding Lyle in check. To hold Lyle to 1 goal, 3 assists is pretty damn good. Brendan Bomberry had 2 and 1. Jordan McIntosh had 2 and 2. Brian Cole had 2 goals and an assist. They held Andrew Q off the goal side of the score sheet. Shane Jackson only had 1 goal. They did a great job keeping them in check, and to, kind of pepper Brett Dobson with 13 goals is pretty damn impressive, if I do say so myself. A great win for this young Rush team that have really impressed a lot of people this year.
Yeah, I thought this was actually a pretty good game for them. I thought it was a game where they were able to kind of have control of it for most of the game, have that momentum on their side, and kind of just be able to control the pace of the game and decide how things were going. It was nice that it was a home game for them. I think that settled some nerves of some of these younger guys who haven't quite played as much playoff lacrosse as the guys across from them. And then, like you said, holding Lyle to 1 and 3, I think is a huge reason why they win this game. I think that if you have to take 2 approaches at playing the Swarm. It's either, okay, we'll let Lyle get his and everyone else isn't going to beat us, or we're going to try and take Lyle out of the game and force everyone else to beat us.
Mm-hmm.
They went with the latter, and it worked. I think it's a lot harder to take Lyle out of the game than to try and take everyone else out of it, but they did a great job of kind of limiting him, which put more pressure on everyone else, and they just weren't able to step up and do enough.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Naso scored in this game too, so faceoffs matter, hashtag. And again, very similar to Halifax, it wasn't that one person really dominant. Like Jake Boudreau had 5 points, but Austin Shanks had 2 and 2. Clark Walter had 2 and 1. Keenan had 2 and 2. Zach Mans had 1 and 1. Mike Messenger scored. Naso scored, like I mentioned. Brock Haley had 2 assists. Robert Church was held goalless. He had 3 assists in this game, though. Matt Hosick had 3 assists. Holden Garland had an assist. It was very spread the ball around type situation here. And Saskatchewan had 60 shots on goal, 18 of 26 from the faceoff, 2 of 6 on the power play. And they sandwiched, the second and third quarter where they only scored 4 times with a 4-goal first and a 5-goal fourth led to a victory for them. They will face the Halifax Thunderbirds in the semifinals. And that brings us to the final game of the weekend. T's and P's for our League Pass Team of the Year. The Rochester Nighthawks fall to the Vancouver Warriors out in Vancouver, 15-10. it was one of those things that the defense of the Warriors really stepped up, and it just wasn't enough early on for Rochester to come away with the victory. They only scored once in the first, 3 goals the entire first half. They had a 5-goal fourth quarter, but by that point, it was kind of out of hand. Again, both teams combined 0 for 4 on the power play in this game. That's going to be something to watch as these playoffs roll around. I think, obviously it's just one game between each team in the quarterfinals, but something to watch is just how teams perform on the power play, because I think if you're going to be able to cash in on the power play, you might have a better chance of winning. Ryan Lanchbury had 7 points in this game. He led the team, and all 7 of his points were assists. Thomas McConvey led the Nighthawks in goals. Keegan Ball led Vancouver in goals and points. He had 11 points in this game. Christian Del Bianco stood on his head, 48 saves in this one. Rochester kind of split the goalie duty. Rylan Hartley started. Riley Hutchcraft came in, allowed only 2 goals, had 12 saves in 23 minutes. It is one of those things, too. The playoffs roll around, Deej, and it's a one and done. It feels like maybe, and this is no slight to Rylan Hartley, maybe you started the wrong goalie. I think in a one and done situation, you kind of got to be locked in, and it's like one of those things where they talk about in the NFL, you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. You have 2 goalies, you have none. When it comes to the NLL playoffs, you need a goalie to be dialed in. Otherwise, it may be curtains for you before it even gets started.
Yeah, I mean, the goalie is one of the most important parts on the field. I think that's goalie is almost a make a decision and stick with it kind of position for me. Like the only way I'm switching a goalie is pretty much if he gets hurt, or unless he's having like a really bad day and is like very uncharacteristically not doing things. But I think you should come into the game like knowing who you want to roll with and almost like having to have your hand forced to go away from them. I feel like they've liked Hutchcraft more this year than Hartley, but I'm not 100% sure what the reasoning was for starting Hartley instead of Hutchcraft. So maybe we'll find out one day, but not banking on it. I just think that, like you said, that's like a hindsight decision that they kind of should have just made before the game and just rolled with who they felt was best, because you don't have time in these win or go home scenarios to deal with that. Other than that, I thought it was a pretty good game.
Vancouver spread it around too. Charlene Beatties had 5 assists. Riley Lowen had 1 and 1. Jeff Cornwall had 1 and 2. Marcus Clarich had 1 and 1. Owen Grant had a goal and an assist. Kevin Crowley had 2 and 2. Ryan Dilks scored. Reed Bowering had 1 goal and 2 assists. Like we said, Keegan Ball had 5 goals, 6 assists. Dylan McIntosh had 1 and 2. Ryan Martell had 1 and 1. They spread it around, and it feels like that's kind of the winning formula right now as the first round of the playoffs are over. Is if you're spreading the ball around, you're moving the ball, you're going to find success. And it's not that Rochester didn't. It was just they did it kind of too late. They had 1 goal the entire first quarter. They had 1 goal about halfway into the second quarter. They scored back-to-back with Ryan Smith and Connor Fields in that second, but it was 9-3 at halftime. And then, it's 11-5 at the end of the third, and then you're kind of battling back and just trying to get stops while also scoring on your possessions is tough. But, Connor Fields did his thing, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. Like I said, Lanchbury had 7 assists in this one. McConvey had 3 and 1. Ryan Smith had 3 and 2. It was just kind of too little too late. At the end of the game, Rochester outshot Vancouver 58-47, and it's just a testament to Christian Del Bianco, who absolutely stood on his head. Like I said, had 48 saves in this one, only allowed the 10 goals, and he's been magnificent for them ever since coming over in the trade.
Yeah, I really think Vancouver did a fantastic job of putting together a team over the last couple of years and really working on their culture as a team. And you're seeing it through their play. They did a phenomenal job this year. I think it was a reason why we're going to see them absolutely give Buffalo a tough run in this semifinal. Is they have all the pieces to win a championship. It's just a matter of what happens on the floor. Last week, they showed that a multitude of guys can come through and help to be successful. And I think that's something they're going to need over the next couple of weeks.
And on top of that, as the first round, it's obviously just one game each. No upsets in the first round. The top 4 seeds are advancing to the semifinals. Your 1 seed, your 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed all win. I don't remember the last time that happened in any sort of standings in the NLL. I'd have to do some fact checking, but crazy that there was no kind of upsets, especially in a sport of lacrosse where there is so much parity. Go back to the 2021 season, maybe, or the 2022 season, I should say. The Bandits, the Rock, Thunderbirds, and Firewolves were the top 4 seeds in the East. How did the playoffs shake out? So that year, even that year, like there was one quote unquote upset because Colorado was a 3 in the West, Calgary was a 2, and then Colorado advanced. They ended up winning the whole thing. That's kind of really maybe the last time we saw an upset in the opening round. I forget what 2023 looked like. No, 2023 was the same thing. Colorado upset San Diego in the first round. They beat Calgary 2-1 and then lost in the final to Buffalo when they finally got over the hump. So really the only upsets that have happened have only occurred when the Colorado Mammoth were in the playoffs. That's kind of crazy. Well, yeah, because last year's playoffs there was an upset. Was there? Yeah, because Albany beat San Diego. But after the quarterfinal, the semifinal featured the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. So we've never seen in the unified standings era of the National Lacrosse League any 5 or below seed advance to the semifinal. That's kind of crazy.
I mean, is it?
I think for this league in particular, with just the talent across the teams and the teams we saw, like, any given week, you could tell either of us that, hey, a team that features Lyle Thompson, Shane Jackson, Andrew Q, and the Georgia Swarm could pull an upset over a team. You could tell us that, a team featuring Connor Fields and Ryan Smith and McConvey can pull an upset based on where they're seated. San Diego, I think that the 8 teams that made the playoffs this year in particular, I don't think it would have surprised us at all if we were sitting here and one of or more of those teams pulled an upset. And we're talking about, Georgia upset Saskatchewan. They had the veteran presence to do it. Calgary pulls the upset over Halifax. Halifax can never win in the playoffs. There was, I think, with the teams that did make it this year, there was definitely prime opportunity for it. It is just funny that, 2 years in, you got to be a top 4 seed if you want to advance.
Gotta be.
It's proven that way.
It's just making sense. You get to play those home games.
Yeah, home field advantage is important, apparently, in the quarterfinals. So there it is. Buffalo, Saskatchewan, Halifax, and Vancouver advancing, which brings us to our semifinals preview, and that is brought to you by our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Guys, if you want to stand out in the crowd this NLL playoffs, gearing up for the PLL season, gearing up for the college tournament season, you got to rep your favorite lacrosse players' favorite lacrosse podcast. PHI Apparel Company is going to help you stand out in the crowd with official Outside the Box podcast merchandise. Use the link in the description or go to phiapparel.co. And when you go to checkout, use code underground to get 10% off any order at PHI Apparel Company. Again, that's phiapparel.co, code underground for 10% off any merch order from our awesome merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. Stand out in the crowd with the official merch partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Deej, we move to the semifinals that are looking quite weird. Scheduling wise, we banged our fists on the table last week about how stupid the scheduling was.
And they made it worse.
They heard us and they said, hold my beer. We'll do you one better. And they made the playoff scheduling an absolute digital aneurysm.
It's so bad, dude. Not even just a digital aneurysm. It like literally makes my head hurt trying to figure out how to.
There's no explanation for it either.
Zero.
Like at least last week we could
Zero.
kind of justify the reasoning, with the Friday night lacrosse on TSN deal and everything like that. There was some sort of justification. Did we necessarily like it? No. But this week it's like this round of the playoffs, what the fuck are we doing? Here's the playoff schedule in case you live under a rock, everybody. Friday, May 2nd, as we record this on Friday, May 2nd, 7:30 Eastern, Vancouver is at Buffalo. Then on Saturday, Saskatchewan is at Halifax. Yes, the 2 seed is starting the postseason on the road at the 3 seed at 6:30 Eastern on Saturday. Followed by Sunday, Buffalo going to Vancouver at 9 Eastern. And then if necessary, Game 3 for Vancouver and Buffalo is on Saturday, May 10th at 7 Eastern. And then Saturday, May 10th at 9:30 Eastern, Halifax at Saskatchewan. And then if Game 3 is necessary, it is happening on Sunday at 8 Eastern, less than 24 hours later, Halifax at Saskatchewan. Can somebody out there just explain to me how this makes any sense? Number one, I get Friday night happening. Totally fine. Vancouver, Buffalo, there's only 4 teams left. Totally fine with that. You have a game on Friday, game on Saturday. That makes way more sense than last week where you had 1 and 3. Okay. Can somebody explain to us why Saskatchewan is the higher seed, but they're starting the round on the road? That makes no sense. Can we also explain why Game 2 for the Buffalo-Vancouver series, where Buffalo's now going to have to fly across the country, Vancouver's now going to have to fly across the country, across continents to go to Vancouver less than 48 hours later by the time Game 1 is over? And then can we also explain why less than a week later, if Game 3 is necessary, they'll both have to fly back across to Buffalo to play at 7 Eastern. And then Saskatchewan finally gets a home game a week later for Game 2. A week later is Game 2. And then if Game 3 is necessary, it's less than 24 hours from the start time of Game 2 for Game 3. What are we doing? I just genuinely am baffled by the approach to these playoff schedules. And I'm sure there's some underlying factor, and we've been trying for a few years now. Brett Frood, please come on the podcast. We need to pick your brain. We need to know what is truly going on with this schedule, because it is mind-numbingly stupid, quite frankly. No disrespect, but it is mind-numbingly stupid how this schedule is laid out. There's no justification to it. I just don't understand why the schedule is made this way.
I mean, it guarantees an extra week of lacrosse. The positive, yeah, like silver lining. Like we know for sure there's going to be lacrosse next week.
Sure, but
I'm trying here. Okay, I'm trying.
My brain does not compute.
Trust me.
I need to Control Alt Delete the schedule and figure out what's not responding in my brain queue, because the more I look at it, the more my brain hurts.
And I just wish they would have come out with an explanation tied to this, because it's not normal. Like if this was how it normally was, nobody would be batting an eye. But this is so obscure from what we are used to. Why? Somebody's got to tell us why.
And the crazy part is, like, Saskatchewan starting on the road. There's no events this week at the SaskTel Center. We looked that up last week too. There's no events. The next event there is May 9th. Makes zero sense. And like, I'm just baffled. I'm baffled by this schedule. Like, I would like to personally sit down with whoever the schedule makers are. Whoever is on that board of directors, if you will. And just simply ask the question, why? Why? There's nothing happening in Saskatchewan for them to have to be starting on the road.
That's the part that has me the most blown, because like, how?
And why is their second game a week later when game 2 is 48 hours later for the other series? Like, not even like I get like Lacrosse next week and everything, but like, say one of those teams end up winning the series in 2, whether it's Vancouver or Buffalo, they're going to have even more time to rest and chill and get healthy.
They about to sit for.
And imagine this goes 3. They're going to have to play back-to-back games.
And then turn around a week later and start the finals.
That's crazy town. I feel like Arnold in Hey Arnold when he's bashing his head with the trash can lids, saying, I'm going crazy. That's me right now.
Just breathe, bro. We do not need you having a heart attack.
Man.
Not over this.
I just don't get it, man.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
Everything about this makes no sense.
Don't stress yourself out more when none of us know what's going on. It ain't worth it.
Oh, I'm not stressed. My gasps are flabbered. Quite flabbered. And then I just saw Adam Levy tweeted today, game 1, Friday night for Buffalo, Vancouver is not sold out.
Wait, it's not sold out?
It is not sold out. It is expected to not be a sellout.
Wow. How? That doesn't make sense. Buffalo's coming into town. What else going on Friday night there? Not like that was not like a joke.
Sabres ain't playing. That's obvious.
Like that wasn't a joke or a dig at anybody or anything. It's just legitimately
what is nothing going on in Buffalo. Like if it's not
if
the Bandits, it's also not Bill's season.
Is somebody getting married over there and like y'all are all going to the wedding? Like I get it. We just want to know what's going on.
That's crazy.
Y'all think, I see a bunch of people feel like y'all are better than Vancouver? Y'all don't need to be there for them to win? Is that what I'm hearing?
Seeing a bunch of people saying Buffalo hates Friday night games. They prefer Saturday. I don't know. Very strange. Very weird.
What's the difference between Friday night and Saturday night? It's not like you got to do anything.
Just a day.
People drive me crazy sometimes.
It's wild. Wild scheduling. Insane scheduling. Who knows? Maybe we'll go back to the 2022 format, Deej, where every week there's one game of the NLL Finals. Maybe that's what we'll get next to really blow our minds. Is that'll be 3 weeks of the NLL Finals.
Oh no, they already put out the final schedule or whatever. I think it's.
Did they?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be done by Memorial Day.
That would be funny if they just full send switched it.
I think Memorial Day is supposed to be like that, if necessary, game 3. And it would face off shortly after the D1 finals over.
Yeah, that's what it is. But imagine if they were just like, oh yeah, we switched it up.
Oh, they'd hear it. They'd hear it. Everybody would actually be angry because it's like, what are you doing? Like we're making progress toward trying to make the different parts of lacrosse work together. We seem to have a nice little system, and here you go shitting on it. We need you to stay the course, sir. We need you to stay the course. So as long as they're done by Memorial Day, I'm good with whatever shakes down. I think it's weird, but I can rock with it.
It's wild. Let's look at the matchups, though. Like we mentioned, it is Buffalo and Vancouver, Saskatchewan, Halifax. Friday night, Buffalo playing host to Vancouver. Sunday, they will also be playing, but at Vancouver. What do you make of this matchup? These two teams, the last time they played, I believe it was a 13-12 final. Vancouver won at Buffalo. What are your expectations going into this series? Because I feel like this is a more even Steven 1 versus 4 matchup than a traditional 1 versus 4 matchup would be.
This is interesting for me. Because like I was just saying, I think Vancouver has everything they need to not even just be successful, but to win a NLL Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you told me at the end of the regular season, like, hey, if you fast forward in a month, Vancouver's lifting the NLL Cup, I'd be like, that sounds reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if they're going to be able to win 2 games in Buffalo. That's like the bigger thing here is that they might have to win 2 games in Buffalo. And really, they have to win at least 1 in Buffalo.
Yeah, win 1 for
That's
sure.
hard. That's hard. That is the hard part for them. I don't think it has anything to do with their philosophy. I don't think it has anything to do with their athletes. I don't think it has anything to do with their coaching staff. I think it really comes down to, can they go into Buffalo and come out with a win? That is a big question mark for probably everyone outside of the people inside of that organization. They all believe they can go in there and come out with a W. And there may be some of us out here that do too, but that is still everyone's biggest question mark. For them, their other big question marks are probably some other things that I probably haven't thought of. But that's kind of everybody's big question mark is, can you go on the road into Buffalo and win a game? Sounds like Friday night's a great opportunity.
And it's not like they haven't proven to us that like they're incapable, because they've done it already this season. You know, it's one of those things that they've shown to us that they are capable of doing it. Can they do it again? That remains to be seen. The other matchup that has 1 game this weekend is Saskatchewan at Halifax, the 2 seed at the 3 seed. Deej, I don't know if I sound crazy for this. This scheduling, I think, has just delivered Halifax the series on a silver platter.
Okay.
It's theirs for the taking. You get to be at home. You don't have to travel after being home last weekend. So that's step 1. You're rested. You're sleeping in your own bed. This, that, and the third. You also have one of the most hostile environments in the National Lacrosse League to bring in a young team like Saskatchewan that has become a cross-continent rivalry over the past couple of seasons. It's always fireworks when you play, and you get the upper hand to start the series at home. You take care of business at home. You just have to go and win 1 game on the road. 1 game. That's all you got to do. It's very different from Vancouver having to go to Buffalo and then potentially being down 1-0 and then having to defend that at home and then having to go back to Buffalo for a game 3 if that were the case. Halifax, as the lower seed getting to start off at home, is such an advantage, and I am genuinely concerned for Saskatchewan because I feel like this gives Halifax the upper hand, and I genuinely have been like crunching the scenarios for this series ever since this wonky schedule's been put out. And the more and more I look at it, the more and more I'm just like, this is Halifax's series to lose. If they don't get it done at home, that's on them, but this is their series to lose. And I think there's added pressure for that, but they also get to play so much looser because they are at home. They don't have to travel to start off the series. And I'm just blown away that the NLL allowed this to be a thing.
Yeah, I don't understand how you allow the higher seed to go on the lower seed to go on the road. Sorry, I don't see how you see the lower seed to host the first game. The larger part of being successful during the regular season is having that advantage at home. That is what that is for. One thing I can say to that is maybe they asked for it that way just so that they wouldn't have to travel in between games 2 and 3. So if it came down to a third game, they're the ones that are at home and have that advantage. That's the one thing I see as I'm really kind of thinking through this is maybe Saskatchewan went, hey, yeah, we'll go on the road first if that means we can have the last 2 games at home. Still a weird strategy, but it's definitely a chance for Halifax to take advantage of it and win that first game at home, and then all you got to do is still one on the road.
It's so wild to me. But yeah, like the more and more I look at it, the more and more I'm just like, how? And we've said it time and time. We are very big Saskatchewan fans. They were almost our league pass team this year. They should have been to a degree. Obviously, Rochester was fantastic as well, but the more and more I look at it, I'm just like, how can I justifiably pick Saskatchewan to win the series when Halifax gets to start with home floor advantage in an arena that provides home floor advantage multiplied more than some places. Like if this series started in Saskatchewan, that's a home floor advantage that is multiplied umpteenth degree. But now I'm just like, I'm so torn.
I'm telling you, I think Saskatchewan asked for it.
Which would also be crazy.
It's really not that crazy though. I think what they think is, okay, let's go over there, let's steal one, then we win game 2 at home, we're good. Worst case, we lose that one over there. Now we have 2 home games with all the advantage. We don't have to travel, we don't have to do anything. We just got to show up and play in front of our home fans to close things out. It's not a terrible idea. Like I get the mindset and the philosophy on why they may have asked for that. I don't think I would have done it per se, but it does make some sense.
Yeah, it's nuts. But it's going to be a fun, overall weekend nonetheless. Obviously 3 total games, which is crazy land. What are your overall keys for success for each team? Because I think it's very simple in the Vancouver Buffalo series. It's going to come down to the matchup that when they've played in the regular season. It's does Vancouver's defense and Christian Del Bianco lock down the high-powered offense, and can that offense from Vancouver keep up with what we've seen Buffalo do? Now, Buffalo only scored 5 goals last week. And on top of that, I think we can all say, and this is no slight to Chris Origlieri, we don't know if he was fully healthy, and Christian Del Bianco, better goalie right now than Chris Origlieri.
Yeah, and I think the other piece for this is Buffalo's defense creating more opportunities for the offense, getting them some fast break opportunities, creating some turnovers and getting out and getting them some odd man opportunities, or even drawing penalties to give that offense some power play opportunities. And then on the flip side, can Vancouver dominate the face-off stripe like they did last time? I think that is a huge part of why they won that game during the regular season is the possessions. Stathakis was getting them possessions, allowing their offense to cook and get into a momentum or get into a groove and have that momentum on their side to continue cashing in. And then the other piece is both these teams need to find a way to get at the goalie early. the earlier you get at these goalies, the more likely you are to score. The team that gets at them the earliest in these games is most likely going to win.
Yeah.
And then as far as Saskatchewan and Halifax, I think this one was made pretty clear cut for us. There's really only one key: win that first game. I think the winner of that first game gets a big boost of confidence. And then we can kind of dive more into that next week, since we'll have plenty of time to talk about the other two games in that series, since they'll both be happening next week if they happen. That the third game, that is, the second game will 1,000% happen. But I think Halifax just has to take advantage of that home field that they're being given, and then Saskatchewan has to make good on the requests that I think they have made. I'm not saying they have 100%, but that's what I think. So I'm going to say make good on that request that I believe you have made and win that first game on the road so you can come home and win the second at home and move on with your life.
Yeah, it's going to be a doozy of a weekend to see how this all shakes out with the scheduling and everything. But I think we head on over to the pick pond. We will break down how we are doing our picks based on this wonky schedule, obviously. But we are going to feed some ducks and dish out our picks of the week. It is the NLL Semifinals, Part 1, Picks of the Week, brought to you by Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, and just 8 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and Pittsburgh areas. You can also find Kenwood Beer at your local liquor stores in those markets. Again, that's kenwoodbeer.com. Use that Kenny Finder. Must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, guys, as always, please drink responsibly. So, what we will be doing for our picks here, everybody, being that the schedule is very wonky, we will be giving our overall picks for Vancouver and Buffalo, and we will just be giving our week 1 or game 1 pick for Saskatchewan and Halifax. And then if there is a game 3, it will be picked next week. If there's not, we don't have to worry about it. And then game 2 for Halifax, Saskatchewan will be picked next week as well, with a pending week 3 pick that will not count towards our picks unless that game 3 occurs. Same thing with Vancouver, Buffalo. So, Deej, we start Friday night, Vancouver at Buffalo. And in terms of our picks last week, we had the same picks. We went 2-2, which puts your overall record for the season at 72-58. I'm at 66-64. We're both 2-2 for the playoffs. How do you see game 1 of Buffalo and Vancouver shaking out?
I'll take Buffalo. I don't know why, but that just seems like the right decision right now.
I'm going to say this game is super close. I'm also going to take Buffalo. It will not shock me if Vancouver wins, but I'm going to take Buffalo simply for them being at home. But who knows what occurs? This game's going to be wild. I'm excited for it. Saskatchewan at Halifax. I know I just went on a diatribe saying that, it feels like Halifax has this series on a silver platter. This should be a must-win for them, but they are such a Jekyll and Hyde team that you never know. I am going to take Halifax because, as we've seen so far in these NLL playoffs, the home team has success. So I'm going to take the home team to win game 1 and the 3 seed go up 1-0 on the 2 seed.
I'm going to take Saskatchewan on the road. I'm liking their philosophy. And I've really just liked them all year. The only gripe I have against them is that they're my bitter rivals as a Roughnecks fan. But I'm going to trust them to kind of get a little bit closer to that promised land that they've ever so been chasing since they were back-to-back champs a while ago.
Which brings us to game 2 of Buffalo and Vancouver on Sunday, 9 Eastern, Buffalo at Vancouver. I'm going to follow the trends. I'm going to take the home team. Vancouver makes it an even series. It'll go back to Buffalo next week. Give us a game 3. I think that's what the people want. I'm going to take Vancouver to win game 2.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Vancouver to win this one as well. I do like the split here, and I do think this game goes to 3, which will be absolute scenes next week.
So there you have it. Our semifinal picks so far. We both have Buffalo. I'm taking Halifax. You've got Saskatchewan. We both have Vancouver. And next week we will hopefully have a game 3 pick for Buffalo, Vancouver, a game 2 and 3 pick for Halifax and Saskatchewan. But nonetheless, that's how we're picking. Let us know how you're picking in the YouTube comment section, the podcast reviews, tweet it at us, or leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. But those are our NLL semifinals so far. Picks of the week brought to you by Kenwood Beer. The fact that we have to say so far is crazy talk. Let's move to the PLL Deej and our PLL segment here brought to you by our app code. Guys, the PLL app is your one-stop shop for all the latest news, notes, and information around the Premier Lacrosse League, the Women's Lacrosse League, the college draft, and more. It's the one-stop shop. It's truly the greatest app for a sports league out there. Download the PLL app. It's gamified. You earn experience points in the app as well, which unlocks incredible perks throughout the season as long as you're staying active. PLL Fantasy's right around the corner. Can't wait. Download the PLL app, go to the redeem code section, and type in OTBPOD. That's code OTBPOD for 500 XP on your account. Again, download the app, PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store, or go to pll.app. And when you go to the redeem code section, use code OTBPOD to get 500 XP on your account. Deej, the college draft is next Tuesday. Tuesday. What's up, brothers? To answer the question for the people, there will be a draft stream. We've been doing this for 4 years. This will be the 4th one?
I think so.
I believe. I think we started it in 2022. There will be a draft stream. I will be on the stream
at some point.
We're figuring out all of that. I don't know if I'm allowed to say where I'm going to be, but the real ones, if you're listening at this point, you'll know by Tuesday rolls around. I'm going to be at the draft. I got invited to the draft to cover it in person. I'm super thankful, super pumped. So I'll be at ESPN for the draft. I'm going to do my best to check in on the stream and keep the stream up to date with things going on at the draft. Maybe pre-stream as well, if we get it started a little earlier or whatever it may be. Deej will be on the stream. As far as I know, the Boston Battery will have representatives on the stream. Our boy Jackson will be on the stream, Utah Archer super fan. Hoots will be on the stream, I'm sure, at some point as well. And then worst comes to worst, I will check in post-draft, post-press conferences and all that kind of stuff, and give the lowdown on everything that happened throughout the night. But super pumped to be on location for the draft. It's going to be insane. First draft I've attended for a sport since 2017 when I was at the NFL draft in Philly, not as media, just as a fan. But very pumped, very excited. Shout out to the PLL for the invite. But yeah, I'll be checking in live from the worldwide leader for our draft stream. But there will be a stream. We'll give all the details as soon as we get it worked out, because on top of the draft happening, I will also be covering a PGA Tour event in Philadelphia the entire week. So there's a lot of moving parts going on right now, and it's It's a very stressful time for your boy because before I know it, we'll be in Albany, teach.
I know. Albany's going to be here like that.
That.
And I'm actually excited. The PLL season this year has a lot of things I'm looking forward to.
But the draft is right around the corner, and I think some of the big news that dropped earlier this week. Shout out to Sarah Griffin. You get this information in the PLL app. Bubba Fairman's been placed on injured reserve for the Cannons. That's a huge loss. And the way the article and write-up are kind of worded, it feels like Bubba's going to be out for quite some time. The article reads that they placed him on the injured reserve list. Known for his relentless work rate, physical presence, and team-first mentality, Fairman's absence will be felt on the field and in the locker room. Drafted by Boston in 2022, he's been a foundational piece in the building of the Cannons culture since head coach and GM Brian Holman took the reins in 2023. Bubba's one of those irreplaceable culture guys, Holman said. TJ Camizio, who signed with the Cannons in January, is expected to take on a larger role in Fairman's absence. An all-star in 2019 with the Atlanta Blaze, Camizio is known for his defensive IQ and disruptive energy between the lines, despite not having played in a professional game outdoor-wise since 2021. Camizio has proven potential as the next man up to be one of the most efficient ground ball midfielders in the league. TJ is ready, Holman said. I trust him. With the 2025 college draft quickly approaching, Holman also hinted that the Cannons could look to add an additional short stick D midi to help reinforce the position group and provide some depth while Fairman recovers. Notre Dame's Ben Ramsey, Duke's Jack Gray, North Carolina's Andrew O'Barry, Rutgers, Joe June Gurkis. Sorry there to Joe. And Denver's Casey Wilson are the top-ranked short stick D midi prospects on Adam Lamberti's big board. Fairman's absence will be a challenge, but one the Cannons are prepared to navigate. Boston isn't in a developmental phase. It's in a win-now mode. Every decision from Camizio signing to potential depth picks in the draft is made with one goal in mind, a championship. With veteran leadership in place, Zach Goodrich, Jeff Traynor, Pat Aslanian, who have all been with the Cannons for at least 2 seasons, and reinforcements on the way, the Cannons remain firmly on track to contend. This feels like a long-term injury just by the phrasing here from Sarah's article, which sucks for Bubba because he's one of the most electric players in the league, not just on the Cannons, but in the league. What do you make of this, and how does this change if you were in Brian Holman's shoes, or as you watch Brian prepare for the draft? How does this change your approach to the draft, knowing that you may have to spend a pick now on a short stick D midi to have that supplemental depth? And you look at the draft that the Cannons have, pick 4 obviously is not going to be a short stick D midi for them. There's a lot of rumored players, but I don't think that's the route they go with pick number 4. They do not. They have 4th pick in the 2nd round. They do not have a pick in the 3rd round, and they have the 4th pick in the 4th round. So they have 3 picks in this draft. I would assume the 4th round would be potentially a spot where you target a short stick team, depending on how the board falls, obviously, with that 2nd round. But how do you see the approach for the Cannons now that Bubba Fairman, who is an all-world short stick D midi, potentially out for a long period of time this summer?
I think it changes nothing about your board and your mindset. I think you go in looking to get who you wanted to, because to me, this is one of those picks that you can choose to switch up last minute, late in the draft. Like, oh, okay, some people are going after some here. Let me grab this guy, because those tend to sit a little bit longer than some of the other positions. But also, there's some guys in the player pool. There's some guys you could trade for right now in the league that are available to you, that have already showcased those skills or already fit the style of play you have. It's not quite a position where I feel like draft is where you have to get them. I feel like that's very much more of a attack in mid, or not even. That's very much, to me, more of a face off and attack position. I think you can find midfielders, goalies, defense, LSMs, all in the player pool. short stick D mids. You can find those guys in the player pool, or you can wait late draft to get those guys. But people want those attackmen and those faceoff guys. They want them. Those are positions where if you have a guy in mind, you got to get them at a reasonable time, or someone will take them from under you and they're not going to give them back. So I feel like they can sit on short stick D mid because there are options available to them in the player pool, or they can go trade route and they don't have to spend a draft pick on it if they don't want to.
That's what I was going to bring up trade-wise, too, because obviously they don't have a pick in the third round. They traded their pick to the Whipsnakes. The Whipsnakes do have 3 picks in that third round. Obviously, having that plethora of picks is a huge asset to have if you're Jim Stagnita as the GM of the team and as the head coach. But also, you have to realize 5 to 6 guys getting drafted don't necessarily correlate to 5 to 6 guys from the draft making your team. If you're Brian Holman, do we potentially see a draft night trade for the first time since the Asher Nolting trade happened back when Asher was drafted with pick 9 in the second round, and the Cannons went back-to-back picks with 9 and 10, I believe it was. Do you try to trade for maybe the 24th overall pick? Depending on this is obviously very circumstantial in how the board falls and where guys are picked and everything, but it is the third round. We've seen a lot of successful players get drafted in the third round of PLL drafts in the past as well. Do you potentially see what the Whipsnakes do with the 17th pick, the first pick of the third round? See how the Archers and Outlaws go. Does Brian have that hypothetical phone ready to go to potentially reacquire his pick or try to get the 24th pick, which is the last pick in the third round, if there's a guy there that he covets and feels like, say, a scenario where it is trying to get their pick again with that, would it be 20th overall, the 4th pick in the third round, where he feels like maybe Chaos, Atlas, or the Water Dogs may try to swoop in and get a short stick D-midi that they also like, or depending on what the Whipsnakes do, say they stand pat and they use that 20th pick, does Brian then try to call the Chaos, Atlas, Water Dogs, or Whipsnakes and try to get back into the third round using either future picks, using their 4th round pick, whatever it may be, to try and land a guy that they're like, hey, not that they're old by any means, but they're getting into their prime, like the Jeff Trainers, like Goodrich and all of them, and you kind of want to be prepared in a way, kind of like the Water Dogs are defensively, where their defense is not old, but they're in their prime. But behind that prime defense, the Water Dogs have literally like their next crop of talented defensemen are right behind them, ready to take the reins whenever the time comes for their current defense to hang them up. I could see Brian Holman getting crafty and trying to trade back into the third round.
Yeah, or I could see him just being patient and just like trying to go get a short stick D mid, and not even trying to go after a draft guy, just like trading for somebody that he really likes at short stick D mid already and seeing what he has in future drafts, or if he has somebody sitting on his practice squad or something that someone else wants. So, not a post, and don't think that it's far stretched for him to pick up the phone and try and get in that third round. But I could also see him waiting and just actually going after a player in the player pool or trading for someone that is already on a roster.
And looking at that too, just perspective wise, there's 2 teams with multiple picks in the 4th round as well. Say, nobody picks up the phone for the 3rd round. The Outlaws have the 2nd and 3rd pick in the 4th round right before the Cannons pick. That could be something where we potentially see Brian trade up to, the 2nd pick there after the Water Dogs selection, or try to move up to the Water Dogs if they feel like the Outlaws have their eye on somebody. Not that they need a short stick, because they've really done a great job with their short stick room over the offseason, obviously adding Zach Geddes, who is a crown jewel of free agency. But potentially trading up to avoid maybe the Redwoods, selecting somebody that they want. The Redwoods do have 2 4th round picks in this draft as well, but they are both behind the Cannons lone pick, so it doesn't really mess you up all that much per se. But 4th round I could see also being on the board, but that 3rd round is very interesting from a perspective of Stags having 3 picks there. How many of those picks would typically make a PLL roster. That remains to be seen. Obviously, the Whipsnakes have had some holes that they need to fill, but can they fill them in the early rounds? Obviously there's some holes that they've filled already, but it's going to be fascinating. And I think we could see for the first time, especially with who is running teams now, Chris Bates, Brian Holman, Staggs, Joe Spallina, # Trader Joe. There's and Spencer Ford now too. There's a lot of GM hats that are going to be in this draft that are not afraid to make a trade. So I will go out on a limb and say I think we may see our first draft night trade since the Asher trade, because I'm pretty sure that's the last time we've seen a trade on draft night, if I'm not mistaken.
I know it's been a while. I can't
I'm going to
say for
see if I
sure
can
if that's the
fact
last
check that
one,
here.
but it has been a while. I'll be interested to see what he decides to do, but I'm not. I think he's going to wait, to be honest, and just handle that post-draft because it's not a dire position where, like, if you don't go get this certain guy, there isn't really a guy like that in the player pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to see. When was Asher drafted?
21. I think he's my year.
No, he was 22. I just
Okay.
found it. He was picked 10. So the Cans picked 10 and 11, not 9 and 10. Because they went up and traded. I forget what that trade was, honestly. That was so long ago.
Yeah, that was forever and a day ago.
That was the first in-person draft, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, I do think we could see the first trade happen since then, because that's the only one I really remember. Because everything else has kind of gone pretty status quo. You guys will obviously be reacting pick by pick on the stream. What is your expectation pre-draft here as we sit here on Friday for the Woods and for the overall first round in terms of, does it kind of go chalk? Do we see a surprise 1 through 8? Obviously, last year's surprise was Mason Woodward, and everyone was like, what are the Archers doing? And then turned out Chris Bates kind of knows a little something about what he's doing. We obviously know CJ is going number 1 overall because Bill Tierney said you're going to have to pull that pick from my dead body if you want it. But outside of pick 1 kind of being set in stone, how do you see Trader Joe going about things to build things for Anthony Kelly's first year as head coach of the Woods? And do we see any surprises 2 through 8?
I do think we'll see a surprise. I think the surprise may be the Woods not taking Chris Kavanaugh.
I am in full agreement with you there.
I think that just may not happen. I'm not saying for sure it won't happen, but if it doesn't happen, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think there's one of 2 options. Either Chris goes 2nd, 3rd in one of those Redwoods picks, or he goes 5th to Chaos.
I mean, let's not count out the Cannon scooping him up.
I would say that would be my third. That would be my third option.
I say that's definitely still on the table.
And then he gets traded to another team in a year.
But I think the team that I don't trust, I think Redwoods are like 3 on that list as far as like teams to pick him. I don't know that they're bent on taking him.
I lean Chaos the most. Like that's over the past couple of weeks, that's really what it's felt like. Like that is their target. Which could also wind up being a draft night trade. We could see Chaos Spencer Ford say, hey, Joe, let me get the 3rd pick. If they don't take Chris 2nd overall, I'll trade you this, this, and this, and Chaos move up to get their guy. That could also be on the table.
Depends on who he's trying to shift over.
Right.
You know, or what picks. But yeah, right. That's definitely a possibility.
That wouldn't shock me in the slightest.
Yeah, I'm just not. That's like
especially like you say, if don't count out the Cannons, you move ahead of the Cannons to go get your guy.
Yeah, I think the one person That like I'm not like that's the one thing I can say about the first round that I feel is that like I feel like he's not going to the Redwoods, and I have no real like reason for it.
I've had that gut feeling for the
It
past
feels
month.
like one of those things where like everybody's calling for it, and like to them it makes sense, but for whatever reason it doesn't fit.
It feels like 2022 when nobody saw Logan going 1 overall.
Yeah, and I was like, he's definitely going number 1. It
Like
made sense
everyone
for him
was
to go number 1.
everyone was pounding the table for who was it in 22?
I think JT.
Um
Was that JT's year?
that was No, it was Chris Gray. Everyone was like, "Oh, Chris Gray broke the points record, like he's going to go number 1." Like,
and that's why I was screaming that Logan was going number 1 because what are y'all talking about? Homie ain't. Never mind.
because that was the same year as Asher.
Never mind, bro. Because I was finna get angry and say, "Homie, not even playing lacrosse no more." But all right.
But that was like the
But
shock.
he was supposed to be. But he was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. But he ain't even playing lacrosse no more. All right, bro.
Because that first round in 22 was Logan, Chris Gray, Arden Cohen, Matt Moore, Kobe Smith, Brett Kennedy, Roman Puglisi, and Zach Geddes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was Nick Turn, Knowlting, Bubba Fairman.
Puglisi's falling off. Like he had a decent season.
He's got to have the season of his life this year.
I know he had that injury that he was coming in with, which kept him out that first year. But like, it doesn't seem like he bounced back from it at all.
He had a solid like champ series. Like obviously the Whip Snakes roster was not built to compete at the highest level, in my opinion. But I've said it. I said it last year, and I'm saying it this year. Like Roman's got to have like the season of his life this year to like. He's already 26. Not that that's old, but like you're hitting your prime now, and haven't really showed all that much in terms of your career. Like you said, he didn't play at all in 2022. 2023, he played in 9 games. Last year was definitely his best year. He played in all 10 games, had 6 points, shot almost 60%, 57.1, had the most ground balls he's had in his career, caused the same amount of turnovers as 2023. And his shots on goal percentage was through the roof. So, like, he definitely showed improvement from 23 to 24, but you need to see that next step from him because he came in as a blue chip, short stick D midi prospect that everyone was super excited about. And then the injury happened and it was like, damn. And then it really took him some time to get his feet under him in 2023. But yeah, that 22 draft, like I know we talked about last year's draft being like the best draft ever and everything. That 2022 draft had some hitters.
Yeah.
As I'm looking at it now, like Logan's obviously coming back and it's the number 1 overall pick. Arden Cohen has made a career for himself on the Redwoods. Matt Moore is a 2-time champion. Kobe Smith has been, in and out of that lineup, but when he plays, he's phenomenal. Zach Geddes just got a free agent contract, so he's on his second team, but he's been a force. Brendan Nick Turn is back. Knowlting has been an MVP candidate perennially. Bubba Fairman's been one of the best D-middies in the game. Brett Dobson, 2-time champion. Jack Hanna was a second-round pick that year. He's a champion. Donville was in that draft. We've seen him compete, especially when he's not injured. Nakai was in that draft in the 3rd round. We want to see him take a leap forward, obviously. Jake Higgins was in that draft. Colin Kirst was in that draft. Owen McElroy was a 4th-round pick in that draft. Jackson Reed was in that draft. John Robbins was a 4th-round pick in that draft. Ryan Ogevin was a 4th-round pick in that draft. Like some heavy hitters in that 2022 draft that I don't think we talk about enough how talented that draft was. That's going to be a fun all-star breaker off-season thing as we just go back through the drafts. Naming dudes with the fellas is one of the best pastimes of all time.
We need to do a lacrosse version of BDG trivia.
Yes.
Oh man,
100%.
I just want to be the host though, because Yeah.
I'm going to give you names. You rank them in order of want combined with fit for the Redwoods. This could be either pick 2 or pick 3, but I'm going to give you the names. You give me the 2 that you think fit and also complement your level of want of them in a Redwoods uniform.
Okay.
Chris Kavanaugh, Andrew McAdory, Sam King, Jake Taylor, Coulter Mackesy, Owen Hiltz.
I'm going to get crucified for this. I really like Sam King. I think the way he plays the game, his versatility down on that side of the field, being able to go both hands, being an ex-player, like you can really put him at any of those attack positions down there and he will be extremely successful for you. He has a knack for finding the back of the net, but he's also a very good passer. He's a very good teammate. He's one of those teammates where he scores a goal, his first thing he does is point to his teammate. His teammate scores a goal, he's more excited for his teammate to score than he was for himself. He's all about doing dirty plays, riding hard, picking up ground balls, all the kind of things that are important to winning a lacrosse game on the attack side of the field. And then secondly, I'm stuck between Coulter Mackesy and Andrew McAdory. I think they're almost the same player. I think they're very similar, and I do think that they provide the option to play at either attack or midfield and be a speed dodger in either one of those positions. But if I had to go down to better fit, I want Coulter Mackesy more.
You've been on Coulter, and you've said that a couple of times on the show, and we've talked about it. You've been on the Coulter Mackesy train far more than Andrew McAdory.
For a little over a year now. Like, definitely a big Coulter fan. But if I'm being honest about the fit, Andrew fits them better due to some of the former Duke players they have. The supposed offense that they're going to run, just based off what we know about them and who they have, they're going to need some speed dodgers. He fits that speed dodging ability, but he's also a guy that can move the ball. Like he's a speed dodger who dodges for his own shot. But if you slide early, he's going to find the guy you slid from and he's going to score as well. So I think he provides a great option from up top that I think will be very similar to what the Redwoods had with Jules Henningberg over the last couple of years before he went to the Chaos. So I think Andrew fits better, but if it was up to me, I would take Coulter.
So in your ideal world,
I would have all three of them.
Pick 2 and 3, rank those 3. Sam King, McAdory, and Coulter Mackesy. Redwoods keep both picks. They pick at 2 and 3. Spallina hands in the card.
When is the Redwoods' next pick after 2 and 3?
After 2 and 3 for the Redwoods, their next pick is round 2, pick 10. So the second pick in the second round. So they have 3 top 10 picks.
This is about to sound crazy. You take King and McAdory 2 and 3.
Okay.
Because I don't think people are feeling Mackesy.
Right now on
so Adam you pick him up at 10
board.
So you pick Mackesy at 10.
For reference, I mean, it's possible, especially if somebody like Chris Kavanaugh falls to say 4 or 5. Right now on Adam's big board, Coulter Mackesy's the 7th overall prospect. Right now his board is CJ Kurse, Chris Cav, McAdory, Sam King, Ben Weyer, Jake Taylor, Coulter Mackesy.
But you see something about all of that is there's one player up there that's not an attackman? Or offensive midfielder, maybe 2?
Yeah, Weyer's the only one in that list that I just rattled off that's not an attackman or a midfielder.
And guess what? Everybody in the league doesn't need an attackman or a midfielder. So there's a very good chance some of these guys fall.
And there's a possibility that somebody like a Matt Trainer goes before some of those guys. Somebody
And
like
I mean,
Sam English goes
and
before those
I'd
guys.
say, and if we want to be honest, we can probably let Sam King slide too. I don't think. I think the only person you can't let slide in this scenario is Andrew McAdory. I think
Mhm.
other teams will want him and will take him. I
Yeah.
think that you
The
could take your
Outlaws.
choice. I think you could take your choice between Sam King and Colton McAsee on who you would want to take a gamble on sliding to you at 10. And then you take the other with that third pick and you hope to get the other guy at 10, if that's what you still want to do.
Right.
Um, but yeah, those Sam King / Colton McAsee, one of or both of them could slide to 10, but I don't see Andrew McAdory sliding that low.
Because it also feels like Matt Trainer is the next justifiable, air quotes here for people just listening, lock. It feels like he's an Archer already. The way that he's just been,
I feel like he doesn't belong anywhere else.
like the way he's just been slotted into this draft, it's always final
Not
pick
even
of the
just
first round and the
Not even
Archers.
just slotted, just the way he plays, that pipeline that they have going there, just
The Penn State connections.
mhm, mhm. Like, I
So
just I see it happening.
like
It seems
he's
like he fits that and just the way he plays lacrosse and how he dodges, where he chooses to take his shots from, how he likes to get his teammates involved. It's very similar to how the Archers play.
Mhm.
It's like it was made for him to be an Archer.
And Jalen Rogers is a free agent. He hasn't been signed. There's your midfield replacement.
Yep.
That could be something to watch for sure. And who knows if Brendan Lavelle goes in the first round too. He's the number 1 ranked defenseman
Hey,
on Adams' board. He's number 9 overall prospect, number 1 overall ranked defenseman. That's a wholehearted possibility.
Trader Joe. I'm just saying, if you need a poll, Brendan Lavelle should be number 1 on your list. No matter
Which,
where you need him to play on the field, if you need a long stick, he is the one to go after.
which he feels like if they don't go with Ben Wayer, like if he falls, like according to those reports where like he's a quote unquote volatile prospect or whatever the phrasing was, he feels like he could end up on the Whip Snakes, especially with Stag's Penn connections.
And listen, after I saw Wayer in person, I would be going after Lavelle, 100%.
Like you add Lavelle to a room with Tim
Any of
Muller,
these
Matt
teams.
Dunn, and Ajax, that's diabolical.
Yeah.
And like I
Absolutely.
said, like Stags has the Penn connections, big time. Like that's a school that you can connect the Whip Snakes to a whole lot. I would not be shocked if pick 7 is Brendan Lavelle out of Penn going to the Whip Snakes. And I'm sure every Whip Snakes fan will be doing backflips because obviously Matt Dunn still very much in his prime, but he is getting older. Tim Muller still playing at a very high level, but getting older. That gives you a chance to pair Brendan Lavelle and Ajax together for the next however many fucking years you want. And you've got a dynamic duo on defense ready to go following those two guys hanging them up whenever that may be. That feels like a Stags pick if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there could be a Stags pick there.
Especially since they
It
quote
fits.
unquote filled the offensive role by signing Rob.
Right.
It's not like they have to reach to go and get an attackman to go with TJ and Rambo, which shout out to Matt Rambo, just got married this week. But that feels like a Stag. Like the way I'm sliding this now, it's like the Water Dogs take CJ, Whip Snakes at 7 take Brendan Lavelle, Matt Trainer goes 8 to the Archers. Those are right now like the locks for me if I had to put out a big board. And I think you and I will put out a big board early next week of our first round, just the first round, because we ain't got time to deduce 32 picks and what could happen. But we'll put our predictions out there and see how it all like shakes out. But that feels, and like I'm leaning like the next closest lock is McAdory at 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think McAdory's a lock. I hate it because that's not who I would pick with 2 and 3 personally. based off of how I like players and who I would like to see on the team, but he fits and will do well.
I was going to say, but how thrilled will you be if Trader Joe and Anthony Kelly walk away, picks 2 and 3 with McAdory and Coulter Mackesy to go with Westberg, Ryder Garnsey, Brendan Nickturn?
I wouldn't be upset at all. There's no way to be upset at that. I just personally would like to have Sam King and Coulter Mackesy, but it's not my decision, and I understand why they would pick McAdory, as McAdory is a great pick. Neil, do not snatch my head off. I like Andrew McAdory.
I would say
I just like the other two more.
If Nickturn wasn't back, I think it would be Mackesy and Sam King for sure.
Because I think you would need back, Sam King to play that X position,
right? But now that Nickturn's back, I think you can.
I think Sam King's. I think he's the one that they fall off on, and they go Mackesy and McAdory, and then try and maybe pick King up later, or try and get him as an undrafted, and just sign him to.
Hell, he could end up falling to 10.
Oh, Sam King could easily fall to 10, but like he could also fall to undrafted. And then you just sign the kid and decide if he's, worth it or not. Like I think he's the one realistically that can have some slack.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating. Draft order for the first rounds: Water Dogs, Redwoods, Cannons, Chaos, Atlas, Whipsnakes, Archers. The second round, Water Dogs have 2 picks. That's going to be fascinating to see what Tyranny does with pick 1 and pick 7. So the Water Dogs have 2 or 3 top 15 picks, which is very fun. Round 3, Whipsnakes have 3 picks. Redwoods have no picks in that round. The Archers have 1, and it is the Redwoods pick at pick 18. And then round 4, the Outlaws have 2 picks. The Redwoods have 2 picks. It's going to be fascinating. I think we also need to keep track of who Mr. Irrelevant is in the PLL drafts moving forward.
Yes.
Which I learned this NFL draft that Mr. Irrelevant has like a foundation or society thing that they have. And Mr. Irrelevant has been a title that's been given out for 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been around for a long time. It's been around for a long time.
But yeah, I mean, the draft's going to be wild. Also, speaking of draft, since he was slated to be a draft pick and be part of the Archers, shout out to Pat Spencer. Boy is hooping with the Warriors. Got ejected. He's a menace.
Bro is out there hooping. They said somebody said he forgot. Somebody's like he forgot he not playing lacrosse no more.
Yo, we need Pat Spencer on this show.
I mean, because honestly, what he did, if he would have done that in a lacrosse game, they would have just separated him and moved on.
Been like,
talk to the same color. That's my favorite one. Talk to the same color. Dude, I got it. I can't wait to do that to a ref. It's just like have him say that and then like look around and be like, ref, there's no other black people here. And then just walk away. Like obviously he's talking jersey color, but just that'll be gold.
That's so funny. Holy shit. Let's kick it to the college breakdowns brought to you by our friends over at 47 brand, guys. We've been rocking 47 brand forever over here. It's truly the best. I'm wearing it right now. They've got everything you need for the favorite college sports fan in your life. They also have NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, minor league baseball, soccer, the whole nine. Their NASCAR collection is so sick as well. Genuinely my favorite hats. I rock the Hitch style all the time. It's the most comfortable hat ever. Shop for your favorite college sports fan. Use the link in the description. Get free shipping on all orders when you join the 47 family today. They're dropping new capsules each and every week. Again, use the link in the description. Shop with 47 brand and get free shipping on all orders when you join the 47 family. And we thank 47 brand for being a proud partner of the podcast. Deej, another college weekend is on the horizon. But before we even talk about the games, we got to talk about the boy. The boy Hoots took one to the chest. My man saw his
Got
life
smacked.
flash before his eyes. Hoots took one to the chest as he was photographing this past week, and my boy got smacked in the Georgetown Marquette game. The entire Georgetown bench immediately went in unison, good eat. There is video footage of this as well, and you just see Hoots get knocked on his fucking ass. The boy got smacked. Absolutely hilarious. And Hoots said, it's tough to see in the video, but all I can say is if that ball was going as fast as it was when it bounced into me, I can't imagine what being a goalie is like, especially against Aiden Carroll.
Dog, I played goalie one time. I got hit in my thigh. I got right up out of net. I was like, bro, this ain't for me. I was like, I could take a shot playing defense all day, but you want me to just stand here and just get hit on purpose? Nah, broski. Not happening.
So funny. Shout out to the boy.
Did I tell
Battle scars.
I tell you I got hit in the head this year during practice?
No.
Like, I mean, domed, bro. I'm out because we had short numbers. So I was out stepping in to help the numbers of the drill. Wasn't wearing a helmet. This kid winds up and it just like slipped out and hit me square in the side of the head. And they were like, "You good, bro?" I was like, "Yeah." It ain't the first time I've been hit. I don't think I've been right ever since. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't that bad. But like, I mean, just full wind up shot right to the side of the dome. Lucky I'm not dead.
Boys out here eating. And speaking of Marquette, shout out to the boy, Jake Richard. What a legend. What
Absolutely.
a legend.
And your boy Charlie Hayes.
Charlie Hayes, Chucky boy out here doing work.
He's doing his thing over at Detroit Mercy. Absolutely.
Stoked for both of them, especially for Jake getting named Coach of the Year in the Big East. That's such an honor. So cool to see. He works so damn hard, deserves it time and time again. Just like couldn't be happier for him. So congrats to Marquette. They're dancing. And Jake Richard, Coach of the Year, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I thought Jake did a great job. It's hard to come in your first couple years and really make something happen. Very proud of his work at Marquette. So with that being said, hopping into this weekend, we know what this weekend is. It's tournament weekend, championship weekend. So looking at Friday, even though you guys will probably hear this post Friday, we got a lot of semifinal action going on. Currently, as we're recording, Yale and Cornell. Yale and
Cornell over here
are they're in a weather delay. Cornell currently holds a 6-3 lead some point through the first quarter. Into part of the third quarter, Jacksonville holding a 9-4 lead over Air Force. Halftime, Colgate holds a 2-goal lead over Army, 7-5. Beginning of the first quarter, 10 minutes left to go. Syracuse over Notre Dame, 3-0 at the moment. And then we did have a game complete earlier in the day, 18-11 Utah over Bellarmine as they move to the ASUN final, awaiting the winner of Jacksonville and Air Force. Lafayette and Boston will take on each other at 7 p.m. in the Patriot League semifinal. Harvard and Princeton playing at 6:30 p.m. on ESPNU. I would imagine that's going to get pushed back because I would imagine that the Yale and Cornell game is currently on ESPNU right now, and that's going to push that game back. ACC Network, 8 p.m., Duke in North Carolina on Friday. So that's going to hurt what we'll have for Sunday. So we won't know the Ivy League, ASUN, Patriot, or ACC final matchups for this rundown. But we can give you every other tournament rundown for this weekend. Detroit Mercy will take on Robert Morris for the NEC Tournament Championship. Drexel will take on Towson for the CAA Tournament Championship. High Point in Richmond for the A10. Shout out my Spiders, baby.
Where were you when Deej saved the Richmond season?
Literally, they had that 1L, and it ain't even
whole
been
lot of people coming at you for 1L.
They don't know what I do, so I give them that benefit of the doubt. They don't know what I do for teams and people. I am a season whisperer. If you need some help with your season, come talk to me. But for whatever reason, I can't whisper that into my own team. Those are all three of those games are at noon. It looks like none of them are on ESPN at the moment. But yeah, you might find out and get a pleasant surprise. 12:30 p.m. ESPNU and ESPN Plus, Siena and Sacred Heart in the MAAC Tournament Championship, because we're not calling that the MAC. The MAC is here in the Midwest. That's the real MAC. U Albany and Bryant will take each other on 1 p.m. ESPN Plus for the American East Tournament. And then Villanova, Georgetown, 5 p.m. on what I will imagine will be on whatever streaming site that Denver uses as they're hosting. Our boy Hoots will be there. Hoots on the ground for that Big East Championship game. I know that Maryland and Ohio State are playing in the Big Ten championship game. And I believe that is all of our conference championships. So we'll find out over the next couple of weeks who's winning championships and who's getting into the tournament, at what seeds and who's hosting, etc.
It's going to be a doozy of a time. Keep up to date with us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. Follow DJ at SCS_next great. Follow me, KBIZZL311. Follow Hoots at Hoots Sports Media. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the pod. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave those 5-star reviews. Leave us a voicemail, the How We Live in voicemail line. Call in on draft night. I'm going to give Deej access to the voicemail so that if you call in on draft night, we'll play your voicemail live on stream. React to your team's draft picks, good, bad, or indifferent. We want to hear from you. Speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. Get us to 1,100 subscribers. That is where the OTB College Draft Extravaganza stream will be, is on youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. And be sure to visit shootoutforsoldiers.com/events to find out how to get involved throughout their 2025 season, whether it's volunteering, donating, registering for an event, or finding out how to get more information for yourself in the areas that they will be visiting throughout 2025. Again, that's shootoutforsoldiers.com/events. We thank them for being a proud presenting partner of the podcast. And this has been episode number 373 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA, number 11 Philadelphia ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast. For Deej, I'm KB. Enjoy the first go-round of the NLL Semifinals. Enjoy the college games. We'll see you right here on Tuesday. Tuesday! What's up, brothers? For the college draft, I'll be reporting live from ESPN. It's going to be a doozy of a time. And then we'll be right back at it next week, breaking down all the action, all the draft picks, and everything in between. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. We are signing off. Peace.
Deuces.